Hi, welcome to Local Flavor. I'm Deborah Anderson and we're here in Moreland at Aunt Faye's Community Kitchen. And today we're gonna make chicken enchiladas. This is something I've made since probably high school. And we're gonna make a side dish of Mexican rice. And I decided to use my pressure cooker because it was the hottest Christmas gift everyone got this year. So might as well show some ways to use it. And we use ours a lot, mainly because we don't plan meals. We see what we're hungry for, and half the time we're having to put frozen meat into the pressure cooker. So this is why I use mine a lot. But if you're a planner, you probably don't need a pressure cooker. I like the digital ones, they're safer. So the first thing I'm gonna do for the chicken enchiladas is I'm gonna make the chicken in the pressure cooker. And I bought this fresh yesterday, but as we know, in stores around here, our fresh chicken is typically frozen, which also means I'll probably get that spongy, yucky white stuff coming out of it, but we'll clean that up later. I'm gonna put, you can never use your crock pot dry, so I'm gonna put a little bit of water just because I want the chicken seasoned anyway in it. And I'm gonna put just a hodgepodge of seasonings that are not actually listed in the recipe because you would decide what you wanted to use. But I'll tell you what I put in. It's probably different every time I make it. I made this when I was really young and I took it to my very first job at a potluck and it went over really well. So I felt like this was my thing. But I've changed it a lot because I make it so often I think I know the recipe by heart. So when I was getting ready for this, I went and looked at the old recipe just to see if I was ever forgetting anything. And I probably changed it quite a bit more than I should have. But I thought, this is how I do it, so I'm just gonna do it my own way. So I've got 1.5 to 2 pounds of chicken breast. I'm gonna throw that in. And then you need at least a cup. There's a minimum, if I should have put the liquid in first, there's a little thing. I need chicken broth for later, so I'm gonna put 4 cups in. I'll need chicken broth for the sauce for the enchiladas, and I'll need chicken broth for the Mexican rice we're making. So, might as well have real chicken flavored and Mexican flavored broth to use in our recipes. I still do use chicken soup base. You'll notice I ran out of my powder that I love so much, but this was the same color, so I thought it might be similar. And I need about a teaspoon for every cup, so I'm putting in about a tablespoon and a half, I'd say. Then I love this chicken rub. Actually, I want the Traeger one, but when we were shopping for it, the store we were at didn't sell Traeger. So this was really similar. It's Bubba's. I love the poultry rubs from the barbecue makers. This is for rice later. This is for sauce, rice. I use this in everything. It is like garlic and onion and oregano. And I don't even remember where I got it. It's a big bottle, but when I run out, I probably won't be able to replace it. But in the meanwhile, it's good for everything. And I'm only using this kind of garlic because the store was out of fresh garlic, so I had to use this prepared garlic. So I'm putting in about a teaspoon of that. And then I want about a 1/4 cup of onions. I need some more onions later for the rice, so I'm not gonna use all of this. Also, I'm gonna strain most of this out, so I don't wanna waste them. In fact, when I'm making a sauce like this, I actually really like to put in a few dried ones. They seem to have a little bit stronger flavor. This I won't use till the Mexican rice. Little bit of salt I'll put later in the sauce. So I need to, when I'm done with this chicken, I'm just gonna start the Mexican rice in this same pot, and I'm not even gonna clean it because it's gonna use the same broth. So mine is different. Most of you probably have an Instant Pot. Mine's a little different. I'm gonna set it to chicken. About 25 minutes, it says. Now mine will It took the setting. It waits to make sure you're finished, because you can set it for more well done or that kind of thing. And then while it's doing this, it means it's building pressure. And mine usually makes there it is. Mine usually makes a snapping sound while it's getting to pressure. So once it gets to pressure, then it will cook for 25 minutes. And if it loses a little pressure, it starts doing this again and keeps track of how long it's been under pressure. So they say you can make chicken in 25 minutes, but it does take a bit of time for this to get to pressure. So we're going to give this some time to cook. When it's finished, we'll start making the sauce and assemble our enchiladas. Oh, that's that noise. We'll see you back in a minute.
Some mobile phone providers think they can just take. They'll all take an arm and a leg for a new phone. Got it. And look out if you go over your data limit.
I didn't see that coming.
Unlimited data plans as low as $20 per line. Come into any of our stores for a free, upfront, and honest consultation about your data and wireless needs. Nex-Tech Wireless, the carrier you trust.
Your home's exterior is the best defense against harsh weather conditions. With insulated vinyl siding, energy-efficient windows, spray foam insulation, and metal roofing from AquaShield Roofing and Construction, you can protect your home from howling winds and ice-cold temperatures. Don't let Mother Nature interfere with the comfort of your home. Call or visit us online today for a free estimate. AquaShield Roofing and Construction. Our team is dedicated to your complete satisfaction.
Hi, welcome back to Local Flavor, where we're making chicken enchiladas, and we have had our chicken cooking in the Instant Pot. So I let the pressure release naturally this time, so we shouldn't have too much of a mess. If you don't let it release naturally, you just tip it and it spews out a bunch of steam. It can burn you, so be careful if you have one. I'm going to fish out the pieces of chicken and let them cool. See, it has that stuff on it, the little foamy stuff. I'll have to pick that off when it cools. And then we'll chop it up. Some people like to shred it. I actually prefer it chopped. Where'd I put my? I'm going to use my pot holders, and I'm going to strain this broth to use for our rice. I'm trying to make a mess. I'm going to scrape some of the goop out, but I'm just going to use the same pot, and we're just going to start making the rice right in it as soon as I get it cleared out of this ick. Might as well use it while it's hot. And it only takes about 15 minutes of cooking time after you get to pressure for the rice, but it does take a while to get to pressure. And additionally, we're going to saute the onions first. So when I'm going to use this like a stove, I just set it on rice risotto. Come on, turn. Oh, I might have to cancel the old one. There it is. And I'm going to put about a 1/4 cup. That's probably going to tell me it's not got the lid on. A 1/4 cup of oil, and I'm going to put about a 1/4 cup of onions. And this will get really hot, this pot, so you want to be careful. And then I need to put in a little spoonful of garlic. So I'll put about a teaspoon. I'm going to let these cook down a little. I think I want more onion though, for reals. So once this gets a little bit translucent, I'm going to put the rice in and I'm going to cook it for about 2 minutes also. And when that's done, the things that I'll put in are a can of Rotel. I'm going to put a dash of just some cumin and chili powder in it. And I like to put a little bit of garlic salt, even though we put garlic in. And then 2 cups of our chicken broth that we made. And then I will put the lid on and close the pressure release valve. And I'll set it on, mine has white, brown, or wild rice. So I'm gonna set it on white rice, which mine says 15 minutes. I saw some Instant Pot recipes online that said like cook for 30 minutes if it's brown and 3 minutes if it was white, and I don't think that's enough. Now I want this rice to get brown, just like rice-a-roni. And I know you can't see it at all. Now, when we are finished cooking this on high pressure for 15 minutes, I need to let it release naturally instead of pushing back the release valve. So that's why I'm starting it now. It's a fast meal, but I want it to release naturally, and that might take a while. Some people will put, instead of Rotel, they'll put in tomato sauce, and then it won't be as chunky. I think the flavor's about the same, but maybe you've been to some Mexican restaurants where it looks kind of like they have orange rice. It looks a little more like that when you use that. I really like the Rotel. It gives it a little heat, too. It might brown if I left it alone a little. And once we get this cooking, we are going to cut up the chicken and we'll start making the sauce for the enchiladas. But I want to get this started first. If I turn away from it, I'll burn it. I'm going to go ahead and start with the seasonings. I don't measure these, I just put a dash in. Kind of, that was a big dash. Cumin and chili powder. A little bit of garlic salt. This looks like chicken noodle soup. I'm going to put in 2 full cups. See how hot that is? Look at that. That one wasn't quite full, so let me put in a little bit more. I don't want it to be too dry. You cannot use your pressure cooker without water in it ever. Of course, it will all be used up by the rice by the time it's done. We'll get some red color and some nice flavor from the Rotel. Now I'm going to put on the lid. There, locked on. And now I need to cancel and start over. So I'm going to put the grain down to white. It's the lowest, the yellow on mine. And then it knows what it's doing. It's going to build to pressure. And then it will cook for 15 minutes once it gets to pressure. So we will come right back and make the sauce and put together our enchiladas to get them in the oven. So these will end about the same time.
Come on down to Bee's Bargains at Smith Center, Kansas. We got the deals.
We have a wide variety of inventory like soap, toiletries, toys, mini fridges, even kitchen tables.
Everything is new at Bee's Bargains, but it's all half the price. Yes, half price. That isn't just a good deal, that's a great deal.
And with new items daily, our inventory is constantly changing. That means new, great deals are coming in by the truckload weekly.
Bee's Bargains at Smith Center. If you can't find a deal here, you can't find one anywhere.
Make a difficult choice an easy one with Cedar View Assisted Living's knowledgeable and caring staff. Your loved one will be professionally taken care of as they transition into their new community. With movies, holiday parties, planned exercises, and games, residents will have opportunities every day to enjoy their time at Cedar View. Multiple room styles are available, ensuring a just right fit for your loved one. Come see Cedar View Assisted Living for yourself next to Sternberg Museum. The care you need, the home you want.
Okay, welcome right back. We are making the sauce for our enchiladas, and our rice is still cooking. It took us a little longer to get cleaned up than we thought. And I have a 1/4 cup of butter melted in here, and I put a 1/4 cup of flour in. We are making a basic roux like we do for everything, and I want that to cook down a while. I might try to multitask a bit. However, this is pretty hot, so I don't want it to burn. I need also to cut the cheese. I use Monterey Jack cheese for this. Ooh, this will be cooking quick. I need it just to cook down so it doesn't taste like flour anymore. And I'm using my trusty grater. That was left in. I'm going to use a whole pound of cheese in this. And I'm going to take a short break and finish this sauce. This sauce, next, it's nice and brown, warmed up a bit. It's a warm color. And now, as much broth as I want to put in, depends on how much it thickens up. It's usually a couple or 3 cups. This sauce is, the next thing I'll put in it after I'm done with the broth is sour cream. So that's yummy. And it takes the whole 8-ounce container. Well, the real recipe didn't. That's one of my changes. It has a lot more sour cream in it now. And some green chilies. And I'm using a whisk to make sure it incorporates in really well. This looks pretty good. This actually looks pretty awesome. Now, when I used to make it as a youngster, you had to dip the taco shells into the sauce. There we go. I just used it all. And that was quite a mess. So I just decided not to do it one time, and I just poured the sauce in the bottom of the pan and then over it at the end before I put on the cheese, and it was fine. So now I do not dip the tortillas anymore. Can you imagine what a disaster? I want this well incorporated in. I might have to turn this up again. Too hot, too cold, too hot, too cold. Just like real people, this stove. It'll be a nice creamy sauce. This is pretty easy. And I'm going to let this keep warming. This is just a small can, 4 ounces of diced green chilies. But it's the bomb. I'm going to let this heat up while I finish grating my cheese, and I'm going to tear up the chicken. The chicken looks awesome. I'm going to tell you a secret. It looks better than when I make it at home, probably because it wasn't all the way frozen and because I let it release naturally. I think that just makes it fall apart even better. I've probably told you, if you've watched before, this is my very favorite attachment for my stand mixer. We use it at least weekly. Usually for cheese, breadcrumbs. Look at that go. Very, very fast. Okay. And this should, normally I cut my, there's the scissors. Normally I cut this with scissors, which I thought sounded silly. I watched my friend do it. My friend Kathy was cutting chicken with scissors, and I thought, well, that's awfully strange. But now I do it all the time, so. It's so much faster than but this is so tender. I can mostly just tear it. Well, that is not as cool as I hoped. I don't like it all the way shredded. I don't know if it's because when I have it at a restaurant, the couple of times I've had shredded chicken at a restaurant, they didn't season it. So I always think of it shredded losing the flavor, but I think it might have just been that they didn't flavor the chicken. Seems drier. Oops, I missed some of this scummy stuff. This is proteins in the chicken, especially if it's got still some water in it. The albumin will push out in kind of a foamy yuckiness. So that's what that is. Oh, I wish I would have taken my ring off. I can finish cutting this up on the break, and when we come back, we'll start assembling them.
Hi.
We're looking for insurance.
Let's see who's free.
When insurance agents work for only one company, their options are simply limited. But a Trusted Choice independent agent is free to shop many companies for a better deal. Free to do what's right for you.
Let us shop for you. Contact Rogers & Associate to learn more.
Storage Solutions is invested in complete customer satisfaction. You can choose a drive-up unit or a climate-controlled unit. Plus, you can choose from storage units of all sizes to fit your inventory. And that's not all. They'll sign for your packages and deliver and unload them into your unit. Storage Solutions has been named in the top 100 U-Haul dealers 6 times. Rent a pickup, cargo van, or moving truck to keep your goods on the go. Remember, making moving and storing easy is Storage Solutions in Hayes and Victoria.
Okay, so got the chicken all chunked up, maybe a little bit too big of chunks. I am going to take some of this nicely warmed up sauce, which I might have put in too much broth, but it will be fine. And I'm going to put some in the bottom of my casserole dish. And I also want to put some into my chicken. So I'll stir that in, just to keep it nice and moist and flavorful. Yum-o. I just wanted to reuse that bowl. That's why I had to put too much in. Okay, I'm going to put roughly a quarter cup, half a cup, somewhere, let's say a third a cup, onto the tortillas. I just got the medium-sized ones so that they fit easily in there. And put about a spoonful in. You are going to be a disaster. And depending on how big the chicken is and how much you have to throw away, I usually get at least 8, sometimes up to 10. So that looks enough full. And then I put a little bit of cheese in it. Plenty of cheese. Roll them up, of course, and line them up in here. Now, if you have extras to put in, I just smash them further. When we eat them, we usually eat them like a casserole, even though they're rolled up individually. So you can't tell where the ends are, really. So I'm going to do this with all my tortillas until I am out of chicken. Then I will put the rest of this sauce on top of these, like this. And then I'll top it with the rest of that cheese. So, and get it in the oven at 350 for about 20 minutes, 30 minutes maybe, till it looks nice and brown on top. Everything inside is already cooked, so we just need to warm it up and make the cheese brown. So I'll get busy on that. When we come back, we'll be ready to taste. Okay, so it is all done and it looks delicious. And our rice, I just need to fluff it up as soon as I take the lid off. And it also is delightful. There we go with that. Let me get a fork. It is super hot. Look at the steam coming off of that. Just as good as every time. I might have could put a little bit more salt in. And I want to taste my chicken because it looked so good. This may be the best one ever. I recommend letting the pressure release naturally on that chicken. It is fantastic. Make it yourself. It's super easy. And join us next time on Local Flavor.